A reporter walked up to Republican Congressman Jim Jordan, who is a big advocate of Matt Gaetz being Attorney General when that was a thing, and told him the news that actually broke the news to him. It was the first time he heard it, that Matt Gaetz had withdrawn his nomination to be Trump's Attorney General. It shouldn't be forgotten that Trump wanted him to be Attorney General, okay? Don't let that just go away. That's a stain already on Trump's record. But this little interaction was a strange one. I don't know why Jim Jordan sometimes is so nervous. He comes off so nervous. So you'll see that. And it reminded me of a really nervous, disastrous interview that Jim Jordan did that we played a lot because I find it hysterical. And then we'll talk about updates on the Trump transition. While you watch this, please do click the subscribe button.
Hear that? You're the first to tell me.
What's your reaction?
Pardon?
He tweeted.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Huh. Well, I mean, that's up to Matt and the president.
Are you disappointed at all?
Well, like I said, Matt's a talented guy who, I mean, all I can do is watch. He's been on our committee, watch him cross-examine a witness, one of the most talented I've ever seen. And
he's just abusing his fingers, grabbing them and clenching them. So uncomfortable.
He's been on our committee, watch him cross-examine a witness, one of the most talented I've ever seen. And like I've said, if he was running the Justice Department, he's not going to be investigating moms and dads at school board meetings. He's not going to be having the FBI write memorandums like they did in the Richmond field office, talking about if you're a pro-life Catholic, you're an extremist. So wouldn't have had that going. But I didn't know that happened. So that's up to him and the president.
Jimothy, what? He's, so I haven't heard this news, and I just think that pro-life Catholics were identified as terrorists. No, they weren't. Stop saying that. Also, neither were parents at school board meetings just for being there. It was people threatening school board members with death that were of issue to law enforcement. Jim Matthee. And then he always makes this argument as if to protect him from other Matt Gaetz dirt. He goes, all I can do is judge Matt based on what I saw in the committee that we worked on together. And he was talented in that. That's not even true. It's not true that you can only judge him based off of what you saw in one committee. You could judge, I don't know, everything else you know about him. All the things that other Congress people have told you and us about him. Investigations into him. What a ridiculous argument. But I shouldn't get so upset about it. Matt Gaetz now is on Cameo. That's his new career pursuit because the whole Attorney General thing didn't work out, which is good to see. But that nervous energy from Republican Congressman Jim Jordan reminded me of when we were trying to get the timeline clear on January 6th. And Jim Jordan was asked, did you call with Trump on January 6th? And he did a tap dance like I have not seen in my life.
Did you speak with President Trump on January 6th?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke with the president last week. I speak with the president all the time. I spoke with him on January 6th. I mean, I talk with President Trump all the time, and that's I don't think that's unusual. I would expect members of Congress to talk with the president of the United States when they're trying to get done the things they told the voters in their district to do. I'm actually kind of amazed sometimes that people keep asking this. But of course, I talk to the president all the time. I talked to him, like I said, I talked to him last week.
On January 6th, did you speak with...
We did not speed this up. Oh, it's good. It's good to laugh. It's been a while. What is... Of course, I talked to him yesterday. Actually, I'll think about it. I talked about Saturday. It's something, huh? Why are you talking so quickly? Why are you standing up for this interview if you can't keep yourself straight, if you can't keep yourself steady? And why are you moving your hands like that?
with him before, during, or after the Capitol was attacked?
I'd have to go. I spoke with him that day after. I think after. I don't know if I spoke with him in the morning or not. I just don't know. I'd have to go back and I mean, I don't know that when those conversations happened. But what I know is I spoke with him all the time.
Can we one more? Can we please? Jaden, do I have permission to just one more time, please, in its entirety?
When Jordan was asked again.
Did you speak with President Trump on January 6th?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke with the president last week. I speak with the president all the time. I spoke with him on January 6th. I mean, I talk with President Trump all the time, and that's I don't think that's unusual. I would expect members of Congress to talk with the president of the United States when they're trying to get done the things they told the voters in their district to do. I'm actually kind of amazed sometimes that people keep asking this. But of course, I talk to the president all the time. I talk to him, like I said, I talked with him last week.
On January 6th, did you speak with him before, during, or after the Capitol was attacked?
I'd have to go. I spoke with him that day after. I think after. I don't know if I spoke with him in the morning or not. I just don't know. I'd have to go back and I mean, I don't know that when those conversations happened. But what I know is I spoke with him all the time.
Oh, it's for the history books. That needs to be in some Hall of Fame somewhere of bad answers. It's like he made more noises to convey less meaning than I've ever seen. Because some of the things he wasn't even saying a lot of words. He was just sort of sitting on one syllable for a while. But it's like he knew I need to be making noise out of my mouth for at least like 10 seconds for some people to think, okay, I think he answered the question. But it sounds like he's doing a speed talking competition. Wow. So that's what that reminded me of. Jim Jordan's quite the character. And his advocacy of Matt Gaetz was rather disgusting. Mediaite reports. Oh, last thing. I love when he says it's not unusual to speak to the president when you're trying to when you're trying to get done what your voters told to do or something. The wording was just so funky. Okay. Trump cabinet picks now complete as final names are announced. Here's the whole list. If you look through this, you got, of course, the Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, Homeland Security Secretary, dog killer Kristi Noem, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, just a star-studded lineup. National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, Attorney General Pam Bondi, that's replaced Matt Gaetz, HHS Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator, Dr. Mehmet Oz of Crudité fame, Surgeon General Dr. Janet Neshawat, OMB Director Russ Vought, UN Ambassador Lee Stefanik, and it goes down the list. You got your Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy for the Department of Government Efficiency. You got, of course, Stephen Chung, who has been prominent for a while in Trump's communications. Doug Burgum got Interior Secretary, so all those brutal to watch interviews. Jaden's giving him a celebratory, sarcastic fist pump there. He got a position, yay. Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright, Secretary of Transportation. You get the point. You can look through this, Linda McMahon and some other people as well. But this is going to be the list that's being proposed to Congress. And one of the people on that list, of course, and one of the most important positions in a president's cabinet, the Department of Defense and the Secretary of Defense. And Pete Hegseth is the person they're charging forward with. They dropped Matt, but they're not dropping Pete. And Pete Hegseth, now that apparently Trump feels misled by both Gaetz and Hegseth about the extent of the allegations against them. And as more information comes out about the sexual assault allegation against Hegseth, it's prominently a part of this discourse. Not only does he not seem qualified, and we know Trump picked him because he saw him on Fox and Friends weekends to be the Secretary of Defense, but also his character is not that separate from his qualifications of someone who should be so powerful in our government. And a Fox News contributor actually very clearly and powerfully spoke out against him.
I dreaded talking about this today. I met Pete a long time ago. We spent middle of the night waiting to go on during 2016 before the election, and I like him as a person, with all due respect to my former colleague. We know that there were 3 cases of adultery for Pete Hegseth, and it is relevant, and the reason why it's relevant is Article 134 of the UCMJ considers adultery against the military, which the Department of Defense is part of. You can't lead an entire organization and all these people if you can't lead by example. 1. 2, I am a rape victim, and I can tell you there's a reason 1 in 10 rapes go unreported. And it's very difficult for a woman to go in and have a rape kit done. It's physically, mentally, and emotionally very difficult to go through that process, as I have. And I can tell you that, just very personal in my deep core, somebody doesn't do that with their husband and their kids in the hotel, texting their husband. Somebody doesn't go into the hospital and subject herself to that. And I have to say, I as a woman and as a victim, I believe the victims. And this is a problem for me, the sexual impropriety. And then on top of that, although Pete has an incredible military career, he doesn't have the leadership career in the military that I feel the Department of Defense requires.
He's the wrong guy, is the point. He is the wrong guy, and Trump seems to exclusively pick wrong guys and gals for these important positions, which is what makes his inauguration and on a really scary, uncertain time. But if you appreciate us being a part of it together and you want to support the work this show does, you can do so by clicking that join button below.